You're welcome to GS Guru classes. Yeah, I'm Sriram here. Today then we are going to discuss the GST reforms. GST Reforms 2025. So the highlights of the GST reforms and then the common motto given by the finance minister we're going to discuss here. So then this is a relief for common man, a relief for common man and a boost for business. Boost for business. This is the tag they have given to this particular reforms introduced by the finance minister and then approved as the next generation GST reforms. So these reforms approved as next generation, next gen GST reforms. So anyways, we are familiar with a concept that the goods and services tax was officially launched on 1st July 2017. This is a known fact for us. So here this is called this GST is called Unified India's Indirect Tax System. Indirect tax system. And here after 8 years of its evolution, they brought several reforms in this one. In recent 56th meeting of GST Council, 56th meeting of the GST Council, which was held at New Delhi and chaired by the finance minister Nirmala Sitharaman, she approved this next generation GST reforms on, we can say, on 4th September 2025. And here if we start discussing something more about this one, and then here the highlights of these reforms, then if we observe, they introduced two slab system, that is only 5% and 18% taxes. They introduced these two. Earlier, in addition to these 5%, 12%, 18% and 28%, these four tax models are there, or tax slabs were there, but they made these four slabs into two. That is a special thing towards this particular reforms introduced by the finance minister. And then in addition to these, 40% of a tax announced for luxury goods or sin goods. For luxury or sin goods, they introduced 40% of the tax code, which effective from 22nd September 2025. And these reforms aimed to, as I mentioned, simplify the compliance, the paying method and those compliance, and reduce rates and provide relief to the citizens and businesses. That is the context. So here you can have a look, the 5% and 18%. This impact will be on trade and export imports may get effect as well. So with this particular facilitation provided. So then next generation GST reforms they mention, and then these system, this particular GST reforms mechanism announced with the 7 pillars. 7 pillars of next generation GST, next gen GST, announced with the 7 pillars. One is simplification. First one, simplification. Simplification. And the second one, simplification in the sense, like here 4 tier they made to 2 tier. That is a simplified tax system. Second one is the fairness. The fairness, 40% on luxury goods then they mentioned. That is the fairness of this particular reform. And the third one, consumer relief they announced. Consumer relief, that is lower GST rates, generally lower GST on essential goods and education, healthcare, and these are anyways, like we can say consumer relief, that is C. And next one, M, that is MSMEs support, supporting to the MSMEs, easier filing kind of thing, tax filing mechanism introduced for MSMEs. And revenue balance, next one, revenue balance, like wider tax network will come up with this one, and several businesses involved in comes under this particular tax regime. And boosting the manufacturing boosting. So I'm writing here boosting manufacturing, that is correction of the inverted duty structures, several changes they brought in tax system. And the seventh pillar is inclusive growth, that is the seventh pillar. So cheaper farming and healthcare, education and housing, so anyways included. These are 7 pillars of the proposed reforms of the GST. And like if we see here, like there's a best instance I am showing here. The tractor parts, spares get major GST cut. That is to encourage towards modern agriculture activities and those, and lower cost, then 18%, the existing 18% GST on these tractor parts and spares, they made to 5%. You can have a look at this particular one. So the tires of the tractors, tubes, engine parts, accessories mean lower repair and the maintenance cost, keeping tractors affordable and reliable. So more savings in farmers' pocket, more power in their hands. That is the intention behind consulting, or rather than focusing more on this modern agriculture GST cut. Tractor parts and then spares get major GST cut. Sector wise, if you observe, like sector wise, if you go like sectors wise, then if you observe the food and house, we observe first. Then we will come to this education as well. The paneer, Indian breads, all on this paneer generally, then most of the people then in North Indians they consume more. Then Indian breads, on these there is no tax, that is nil. And then like soaps, shampoos and bicycles as well, 5%. And packaged foods on these they made to 5%, they cut to 5%, like chocolates, coffee, preserved meat and those. And like this is the one. And the housing material wise, if we observe, housing materials wise we observe, like cement they cut from 28% to 18%, and marbles as well, they 12% they made to 5%, and wooden plates, bamboo plates, and those even they made 12% to 5%. So already agriculture and the tractors we discussed, they made to 5%. Tires, parts 18% to 5%. Already we discussed that. And like if you observe some services, so education you can observe here. I will mention this one. Education, there's maps, charts, and the globes. Earlier they were 12%. They made to nil here. Pencils, sharpeners, again 12% to nil. Exercise books, again same nil. But eraser, the earlier it was 5%, they made nil now. So geometry boxes, school trays, all these 12% to they made to this particular nil percentage. Okay, then healthcare, if you observe healthcare, if you focus on healthcare, like 33 life-saving drugs and diagnostic kits, they made 12% existing tax to 0% or nil percent. Ayurveda, Unani, homeopathy medicines, on these homeopathy medicines they made existing 12% to they reduced to 5%. 12% to 5%. Be clear with these two. This is 12% to nil life-saving drugs. Ayurveda, Unani, homeopathy 12% to 5%. So that is the one. And then insurance, if you observe, insurance premium wise, the life and health insurance premiums on these GST exempted. The GST exempted on these life and health insurance, life insurance and health insurance. So that is the context here we have. So try to focus on these areas. So affordable health tests of all mentioned here. And like the journey of GST, if you observe, like which was officially announced in 2000, that conceived or empowered committee of the state finance ministers, then introduced on 2000. A constitutional amendment that is related to GST, that is 101st, that was passed in 2016. And anyways, launched on 1st July 2017, we discussed that. And the financial year, if you observe 2024-25, the revenue collected through GST, that is 22.08 lakh crore. This is the one, 22.08 lakh crore. And like if you observe the key highlights of these reforms, like a two slab system, okay. And the second one, if you observe, which effect from 22nd September 2025, and the GST Council approved this. GST Council 56th meeting, they approved this this tax reform effect from 2022. And like the personal care items, packaged food, agriculture machinery, and renewable energy equipment have been shifted to lower than 5% slab, a lower 5% slab. These personal items, packaged food, 1, and agriculture machinery, renewable energy equipment, then they made to 5% slab. This is the one. And like education, school supplies, then some areas then they made 0, and some areas then they made 5%. Insurance premiums they exempted completely. So with this, the impact, if you observe, like impact of this particular reform, GST reform, the consumers get relief, and which supported this particular tax reduction, supports the MSME, and ease of compliance will increase, and government get stronger revenue. These are the special areas of introducing these reforms under this particular 56th GST Council. There's a context here we have. So this is all about then our GST reforms. Then we will discuss a question related to this particular one. These type of questions then you can get in UPSC, SSC, even nowadays like bank examinations. If you observe, then they started focusing on financial awareness. They mentioned financial awareness. Certainly under financial awareness context, these type of questions will be asked in your examination. So then we will discuss about this. So here, like in this particular question, 2 statements were given, and asking to read the statements given below and the find correct statements. First statement, if you observe, the next generation GST reforms introduce only 2 main tax slabs, that is 5% and 18%. That's absolutely correct. No need to get a check again and going with the second option as well. So statement 1 is absolutely correct. Statement 2 then I'm focusing now. Luxury and sin goods like tobacco, ads, aerated drinks will attract a 40% GST. This is absolutely correct one. So here options given, 5 options are given. Generally 5 options concept is banking related options. Generally in UPSC and SSC they give 4 options. So here only 1 statement correct, wrong. Only statement 2 correct, no. 2 statements are correct, absolutely correct one. So our answer would be like C. C would be our answer. This is the way like how we have to focus on a particular concept. Then try to subscribe to this particular channel, and like then if you are if you really like this particular concept oriented teaching and those. We will meet in the next session with a new concept, and thank you, all the best.